This is Chris, the Idaho Painter, here on Paint Live TV. Today, I'm going to be talking about some more tools here on Tool Talk Tuesday. The first tool or product I'm going to be talking about is Tower Sealant's AU1 construction sealant. So I've been using Tower sealants for quite some time, and one of the new products I started using recently is AU1 commercial construction sealant. This is a water-based sealant, so you don't have to use any type of chemicals like mineral spirits to clean it up. I started using it for the bonding capabilities and to span large gaps on certain projects that I was dealing with. And one of them, was vinyl windows, and the people installing it didn't install them very well, left huge gaps. And one of the things you definitely want to do is put backer rod in there to fill large gaps. My concern was using the typical products that we would use to caulk the windows. It just wouldn't span the gap, a large enough gap. And then brand new vinyl windows are very slick, and I was really concerned about adhesion. One of the things I learned about AU1 is it's going to adhere to hard to stick to surfaces, and it's absolutely amazing. So I use it on the vinyl windows. Another thing I used it on recently was resealing trailers, and the trailers got a powder coat on them. It's going to be another slick, hard to bond to surface, and Tower Sealant's AU1 is absolutely amazing when it comes to bonding, to hard to stick surfaces like that. Plastic, metal, coated surfaces, slick surfaces, and it worked really, really well, for me in that situation. There's some things on here that it doesn't really pertain to me and what I'm doing, but it exceeds ASTM C-920 standards. It exceeds TCB SAT-30 standards. It says it's exceptional resistance to weathering, UV, and extreme joint movement. It says it's in exterior and interior applications, vertical and horizontal joints up to 2 inches wide, and it's also paintable. And one thing that we always want to be using as painters typically is going to be a paintable caulking or sealant. So I've used it in multiple different applications, hard to stick surfaces, large gaps. I've used it in conjunction with backer rod, and it's performed extremely well. So one thing I want to talk about is the tooling capabilities of this commercial construction sealant. You got to say the consistency of it, the butteriness of it, how I'd say wet it is. It tools better than any caulking or sealant that I've ever used. Typically, when you're using products like this that are designed to span large gaps, a lot of them are urethane type products, polyurethane type products that are not water-based. They're very thick, they don't tool very well, and they're hard to smooth out and level out. And then you actually got to use chemicals like mineral spirits to clean up with, and which is messy and actually not good for your skin either. So I did talk about it being a water-based product. So at the end of the day, if you've got the product on your hand, you just clean up with water. But when it comes to tooling the product, I'm just using typically a tile sponge or a caulking sponge. Keep that caulking sponge wet, and I'm tooling it with my fingers. I typically don't use any type of tools to tool it, just using my bare hands, because it smooths out absolutely perfectly with your, the pads of your fingers when you're actually caulking. So another feature of AU1 construction sealant is it does come in a multitude of different colors. There's quite a few colors out here. There's bronze here, there's white. I did multiple videos sealing travel trailers, resealing travel trailers, and I used different colors because we weren't actually painting the product. One of the things I like about this product too is it is paintable, but if you don't paint it, it doesn't stay tacky over a period of time and collect dust like most caulking or sealants do. So it is AU1 construction sealant. I do highly recommend it. It is, it runs about $5.29, a tube. You can get it at Paint Life Supply Co. It's not cheap as a sealant, but it serves a great purpose in certain situations. Vinyl windows, and you're caulking on powder coated surfaces, metal surfaces, anything hard to stick, anything over a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to go right to AU1 commercial construction sealant. Anything under under 1/2 inch. Tower Tech 2 is absolutely amazing, and it's my everyday caulking that I use. So I keep these in my vehicle, AU1, and then Tower Tech 2 for all my caulking on exteriors and interiors. So the next little gadget I'm going to talk about is this little tiny thing. I was sent these things in the mail. I didn't buy them. I don't even know how much they cost. I'll try to figure out, what the retail cost is on this thing. And so what is it anyway? So if you're familiar with the Brush Buddy, the Brush Buddy is a device that I absolutely love that holds your brush on your bucket right there. And it either screws on or it sticks on with 3M adhesive. And so I always screw mine on. See, bent up, there's 2 little screws. It comes with the screws, but it comes with an adhesive also if you don't want to screw into your brush. But this device is another type of device, and there's many of them out there, and I've never seen any of them that is as good as a Brush Buddy, but there's a lot of them out there and a lot of them that are really bad. When I first saw this thing, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting, and it actually just clips on your brush, and I thought, well, that's actually pretty cool, because it does, unlike the Brush Buddy, it doesn't have as big of a profile. It's not going to get in your way. I mean, I don't think it really gets in my way the way it is, but this device here sticks on there, clips on there just like that. And I thought, gosh, that's actually pretty cool. You can see it clip on there, so similar to a Brush Buddy. And I started using it, and right off the bat, I discovered one of the main problems with this thing. If you start to get paint built up on the edge of your bucket, because the tolerance, it's pretty tight. It's a really tight fit right there. If you get any paint built up on the edge of your bucket, it doesn't just slide on there and clip on. I got some paint right here on the edge right there. And so it starts to cause an issue getting in there. And then it actually, if you start to put any pressure, it'll come off, really easily. And then another thing I noticed that is just because it kind of just clips on there, with a little bit of pressure, your brush comes off of it a little bit too easy, and I had my brush fall in the paint, multiple times. But I think the whole concept and the whole idea is pretty dang cool. I think there's got to be some way that it can be secured to the brush a little bit better. So I would go when I was working, because you're just working pretty fast, I'm going to try to get my brush on there, and it just kind of flips and moves right off. So there it is. I don't even know what you call a device. I'll figure out what it's called, and we'll post it right here on the video, and if there's a price to it. I don't know. It fits different size brushes. On a brand new bucket, it slides on there pretty easily. But I think if it was just a little bit wider, that might give you, a little bit more tolerance to getting it clipped right there. I just tried to hang on the bucket, and it knocked it up right here. So I do love the Brush Buddy. I do highly recommend that. I use them on most of my brushes. This little device isn't something that I would use. I wouldn't personally use it. I think it needs a little bit more work to be secured to the brush. All right, the next product I'm going to be talking about today is the 3M straight cut blade. And if you've never heard this tool, if you've never seen it, I think it's a must-have tool. And this is the device right here. Typically on my maskers right here, maskers, you can get paper blades, you can get film blades, or you can get a straight cut blade. We're typically always using film and paper. I never use the paper blades because the film blade can be used for paper or plastic. The paper blade can't be used for film. We don't like to have to switch maskers or anything. We just like to use one masker for paper and plastic, so we're always using a film blade. Film blade is extremely sharp and it cuts the film. But you can see right here, this is a good example of the film cut without a straight cut blade on it right here in the film. If you can see in the video, it's not cut straight. And that actually, becomes an issue when you run your film across the window. You run it down the sides and it's all wavy because it's not cut straight. Then you got to use multiple rows of tape to fill in the edges right there. So you can see how uneven, and what actually causes that is there's flex and your masker when you go to tear off your plastic and on the paper blade. So it flexes here, the blade also flexes. So what the straight cut blade does, it attaches to a film blade. When you purchase a straight cut blade, it comes with a film blade. We've got multiple holes right here, for different sizes of tapes, where you can attach your film blade. I actually attach it to the 1.5 inch hole right here, and I actually never move the blade. So if you're wondering what this hole on the blade is for, this is for your straight cut blade. So the straight cut blade, you can see right here, attaches right there, but it actually comes already attached because you buy the straight cut device and you get the blade at the same time. So I've actually never even removed one before, so here it is. This is the straight cut blade. This device comes right here, slides, goes right inside your plastic and the core of the plastic. Now there's going to be no flex on the plastic, no flex on the blade. So now you're going to get a straight cut every time, and that's eventually going to save you, on your sides masking. You're not having to run multiple rows of 1 inch tape to cover the masking. So you can see now, here's my cut, and my cut is nice and straight right there versus this cut right here, which is all wavy right here. When this goes down your window, it's going to wave, go back and forth, and you're going to have to fill that in. The straight cut blade, one of those devices, makes the plastic tearing a lot easier because there's no flex in the blade. You don't have to put nearly as much pressure on the blade, because when you're pulling on the plastic without a straight cut blade, you have to put more force on right here, because it's flexing when you're tearing it. This, a lot of this really comes into play as the blade starts to get dull. When the blade's brand new, the plastic cuts pretty easily, cuts pretty straight, but you'll eventually see I've got some dings on the blade right here. It's bent right here. They just get bent. They get tossed around. They do get dull from cutting paper over time, and the straight cut blade will perform a lot better even with a worn blade. So the straight cut blade, I think it's $29.99 for this device, and we always have at least one of these devices in our vehicle. And when I'm actually using this is when I'm using film to mask windows. All right, so what's the final verdict? Are these three products I would be using? What about you? Would you use any of these products? Let us know in the comment section below.